Hello ladies, Cami Crafter here. I am going to do a tutorial for you today on a mini album. This is what the finished product will look like. Hopefully, this is my first tutorial, so bear with me. And hopefully it'll give you something to create while we are all dealing with this global pandemic. To start, you will need some tools. I have a list of them right here. So you'll need 13 to 15 pieces of the same color cardstock. Depending on if you want to add stuff later, you may want to make sure you have enough for later, which if this goes well, I may do another video. You'll also want some Sook Wang or double-sided tape. I use 7, 9.5, and 12mm, as well as the Express-It tape in the 2-inch. You'll need a pair of scissors, a trimmer, a scoreboard and a bone folder, a pencil, a ruler, a craft pick, a craft knife, a perfect trim ruler, or you can use just 2 pieces of cardboard. I also stuck a couple pieces of cardstock in there just to make it a little bit thicker for your shim, and you'll see what we use that for later if you don't already know. And some wet glue. We may or may not use it. This is my favorite, and I do like to put it in these little containers for easy handling. You will also, to finish your project, need a 12 by 12 pack of themed paper and a 6 by 6 pad if you desire. The last thing is you'll need 1 piece of 12 by 12 chipboard, and that will make your entire album. Sorry, that's not the last thing. The last thing is a piece of Tyvek paper or plastic or something along the same lines, which looks kind of like this. I've already put the tape on, as I want to make this tutorial quick so that we can just get it done without too much starting and stopping. And I'm actually going to try to get you all to just pause so you can make the album as we go along. This is a Canada Post Express Post bag. If you order from Ria at scrapbooking.ca, let's see here, a little plug, ask her to put one in your order, and I'm sure she'll be more than happy to do that. Okay, so I'm going to just move these items. So you'll also need a ruler. If you're not good at math and fractions, this one is like really great. I don't know if you can see that it has all of the fractions in there, so you don't have to hurt your brain. Because, well, math and I don't get along. Anyways, moving right along. So the first thing that you'll need to do is cut your chipboard. Now I recommend cutting it like this so that you only need to use 1 piece. So you'll need to cut your spine piece down, and then once you do that, just add your double-sided tape. So you'll need 2 pieces at 6 inches by 7 3/4. And the reason I made the album this size is to maximize your paper so that you're not wasting. So the finished size of the album will be 6 inches by 7 3/4. Once you do this the first time, you can adjust it to whatever size that you want. I did originally watch a tutorial on YouTube, and I can't find it again to give credit. I just adjusted the sizes after so that I wouldn't be wasting any paper. To get started with your, so you can get started with your chipboard, and you can pause now while you cut that, or you can continue on to the next step. And also another tip is that if you're using directional paper for your patterned, you'll also want to cut it like this. I made the mistake of cutting my paper straight in half, and then I didn't have enough to cover my spine without paper piecing it. So you can do that, it still looks fine, or you can cut it this way first, and then or do this cut first, and then you'll have enough without having to piece it together. Okay, so after you cut your chipboard, you're going to want to cut your cardstock. I thought it would be a great idea for everybody to just cut all of their pieces of cardstock, and then we can go into making the album, or you can pause as we go along. So for your cardstock, 65-pound is recommended, so that there's not as much breakage in your paper. So you're going to want to cut the first piece to 8 3/8 by 11 inches. And this is where the ruler comes in very handy. You'll also want to cut one piece to 7 inches by 11 inches. So I've handily got these two done. And you'll see that this is the size of that the paper will be after. So you're going to want to make sure that your tape is as close to the edge as possible. I've also added a piece on this side so that I can place it down before and have my seams tight to the paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel off my piece of tape here, and I've marked it so that I can attach it hopefully straight, and then I'll just put that down. So it would be easier to change that if with just the smaller piece on, or not to change it but to straighten it up or straighten it out. Again, bear with me as this is my first time doing a video, and then we'll just take that piece of adhesive off. So here we have our completed outside cover. You're also going to want to cut a piece of the Tyvek, or in this case the Canada Post bag, so that it is 1 inch wider than your spine. So that size will be 4 7/8 by 7 3/4. So each side is 1 inch larger than the spine. Add sukewang to the back of your, or to one side of your Tyvek paper, and make sure you're careful that there isn't any air bubbles in it, as your book will make sounds when you open and close it, and that is from experience. So you can set that aside, and then if you haven't already, you can add sukewang tape to your chipboard. So I've added sukewang. Oh, I did not do that side. That's what I was going to show you. So sukewang to both sides of your chipboard. So basically, I mean, it's relatively straightforward here, but it'll give you some time to just catch up or follow along or watch the video and watch me chatting. So you don't want to pull the sukewang too tight, or your double-sided tape too tight, because you don't want any tension in your tape. I like to use a good amount of tape, as I want my albums to stay together, and you'll be able to see. I guess that's not working as well as I had thought, which is okay. So we'll just attach this tape, and then I've got a little piece still in there, so I'll take my 5mm And you don't have to stick this in. I like to stick it in. I like to use a lot of tape just to make sure that it's covered and it's going to be a sturdy album. So once you've done that, you're going to want to take your piece of Tyvek or Canada Post bag, and you're going to want to add or take off your adhesive, pardon me. So you can also pause the video when you're putting all the adhesive on, and then just keep on going. So I'm just eyeballing it. So I'll eyeball it here. I'm fairly good at that. And just give it a rub so that it's nice and slick against your piece of Tyvek. And then you're going to want to overlap your front and back cover. So you don't want to have your spine match up with your fold here, where it's going to fold. You definitely want them to overlap. So in order to put the rest of your book together, you are going to have to leave space. So I'm just going to center it as best as I can here. And then you can, if you have the perfect trim ruler, you can use that as your spacing before you put your covers down completely. If you don't have a perfect trim ruler, this is where this will come in. It is a little bit bigger, and so you can just use that to create your spacing on both sides. So I am going to just figure this out and pause for a moment here and put it down, and then I will be back. Okay, so I did add this side, and now I'll show you how to add the other side in real time. So you're going to peel off your back. My apologies, I've got kids home from school, I've got a dog beside me, so I'm not really sure what may happen during the video. That's okay. So I've set my ruler here so that I can get a sense of straightness, and I'm opting to use my makeshift shim for this part. So when you want to kind of put it down at an angle so that you're not fully adhering it until you have it as straight as you can. And having the ruler there just makes it a little bit easier. So there we go. And then you just want to press it gently. You can also flip it over and just rub down your adhesive. And so now you've got the back cover, or outside cover, I guess it's not the back cover, kind of ready. So you can just bend it up a little bit. Don't go crazy. Like I did on my first one, I ended up tearing my book a little bit, and that's okay. It was my first one, and I'm not gonna, I mean, I care, but I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. So now you're gonna want to put your sequin as well all around. And I also actually just want to show you, I don't know if you can see them. I just made a couple of lines so that I knew where the center of my spine was according to the center. I didn't do specific measurements, and I'm okay with eyeballing things. If you need to if you can eyeball, perfect. If you need to measure everything, you do what is going to work best for you, for sure. So we'll add the sukwang all the way around. I'm getting a little tight here, and that's okay as well. And now what we want to do is we want to miter the corners. So this is where this little square comes in really handy. So basically what it's telling you to do is, if you haven't used one before, is you take your cardstock and you check to see, you can see this line here, you just check to see where it fits so that you know what depth your chipboard is. So it is the 0.625 inches. So then what you do is you just, and I marked it so that I could remember, is you, and sorry if my head is going to get in the way here, you just line it up in these lines. I'm probably going to have to stand up and look from above. So you can see my chipboard is within these lines here, and then going to just cut it off. Now normally if you were making a smaller album, this would be more equal, I guess, but because I've made the album bigger, I don't have the 1/2 inch on the top and on the bottom. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to miter all 4 corners so that when you when you bring your paper over and get your corners done, they'll be nice. They'll look nice. If you don't have one of these little perfect trim rulers, you can also just take a piece of cardstock, or sorry, chipboard, and just put it like that, and then cut it off as well, and that should give you a pretty good corner as well. So I will just continue to do all of these. And then we can move right along. Actually, sorry about this. If you could see the getup that I've got going on with actually trying to record this, you would probably all laugh. So here's hoping that you enjoy it, and I see that some of you ladies try something different if you haven't already made them, or give me your feedback and let me know what you think or anything that I can change. What I did not know about doing a tutorial and I've actually written out some pretty detailed instructions with pictures, is the amount of time that it takes. So I put a lot of hours into this. So the next thing that you're going to do is get the 2 pieces of paper that you cut for your inside cover. So you would have cut 2 pieces at 7.5 by 9.5. So as you can see, these are going to come up, and then these are going to just fit on the inside. So my recommendation is to wait until we have all of this turned up before we tape these together, just for placement. And then again, I will, depending on where we need it, I will add another piece of tape to this side. So you can set aside those for now. And then in order to get a proper bend without ruining your paper, I suggest that you just pull your book up and kind of just bend it a little bit on your desk, and just be gentle with it so you can see that a crease is forming. So you're going to want to do that on all sides. Then you'll really be able to see, if you eyeball it, how crooked your paper is. You can also see how the album is coming together. So looking good so far. So I recommend to take off the bottom piece first. You can do whatever you want. You can also take your bone folder and just kind of run it along, you know, the edge here to get it a little bit more crisp. So I'm going to just peel off, having some difficulty here, my tape. And actually, we are going to want to remove our top covers, because we do not want to turn these pieces up without, well, onto our sorry, back cover. Otherwise, well, there would be no point in that. So my apologies here. Maybe I should be reading my notes, but I'm not. So hopefully I'm not confusing anybody. I don't know how good I will be at editing. I might just edit it all out. Who knows? This is all new to me. So of course you don't want to touch it too much. I will bring, you know, I'm going to just use a piece of this, and then you're going to just bring your paper up, and then you can just really push it down and burnish it so that it really sticks onto the other tape that you have down and doesn't pull up. So some of this is off camera here. I'm doing my best to not have it off camera, but okay, so this part will probably be the hardest part to keep down, because that's where you've got more than one layer of paper. You can also just give it a little push in there in the crease to help when you're folding. So we're going to go ahead and turn our project around and do the same thing on this side. So I'll just move my sticker sheet over. You can use whatever you have. If you have a craft mat or a non-stick craft mat that you use, you can put that on your page to. And as you go along, if you think that something else might work, you can do that as well when you make your own albums going forward. So here we go. Just to get all of that down and just really push it down. You may want to just give your book a little rub This side I made a little bit short, so hopefully it will stay. I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, so now when you're doing the sides, if you don't miter properly, sometimes you do get like a little piece, and if you just tip it up like that on each side, it will tuck the corner in for you. So just maybe do it on both. Ooh, I think I'm short, so that didn't work out so well for me, but no worries, I will figure that out and cover it up with something. It's not a completely foolproof process, I suppose. So you're gonna just want to help it down like that, and you can see on this side I did make a little boo-boo. So before I have it all the way down, I'm gonna just lift the corner and see if I can just stick a little piece in there. And I'm okay with doing whatever I need to do to make it work. So just bear with me here. And just tuck that little guy in there. Well, I'll fix the rest after. Anyways, all right. So just keep on going here. Whoops. So this side worked out great too. So I'm not really sure what happened with that other side, but that's okay. Like I said, I can put an embellishment there or something else. So you want to just go over those little folds a little bit to work the paper in. And then this is where you're going to put your other pages down. So I'm going to just put these down so I can see where my pieces are going to go without sticking it down completely. So you can see I did glue it, so I had a fairly good idea. So you will just add your paper like that, and then again like that, to cover your back. So I see that I have just take my pencil. I'll just make a slight mark here. I can erase it after. And I'm going to just run a piece of my 25mm tape. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do it on this side. Sorry. Now I'm thinking out loud here. So it was like that. So I'm going to put it on this side here. And then if we have any overlapping, it'll be okay as well. So again, you don't want to stretch your tape too much, and you want to get it to as close to the end as possible. Sorry, no, I'm off camera there a little bit again. So I'll just snip off this bit of excess. Okay. So our pages are going to go like that. Get that out of the way. Okay. So I'll put this piece down first. I think right about there. Make sure I pull out all these guys. And I think while I have my PPA mat, I think it's going to need a little bit of help here. So I'll just stick a little bit of that in there as well for some extra adhesiveness. Okay, so we've got that. And then we'll just pull the tape off of this piece here. And actually we'll pull the piece off of this here as well. And then we'll get rid of all these pieces too. Sorry guys, it's a little bit harder than I thought, but that's okay. I hope you're following along and you end up with a nicely finished end product. So you can see how it's fairly nicely matched up. I can press down. So obviously to me, I've got 2 mistakes on here already, so this will be the bottom of my album, which that's the great thing about these albums when you make them yourselves. If you feel like you've got a mistake that you don't like, it's pretty easy to fix. And with embellishments and all the other stuff that you can make or buy, there's always a way to fix things. So don't just throw your projects in the garbage. So I know that there is some people who do that too. So I'm going to just do that for now. And yeah, I'm pretty okay with that. Okay, so now you want to just take your hands and run where your spine is, and can also take your bone folder. Now I would not run my bone folder this way because I tried that once and it didn't work out so well for me. I ended up poking my project, and it's okay. I kept it, and once I did some other stuff to it, it worked out fine. So you can see as you are gently going over it with your bone folder that it's bending a little bit more. You don't really want to like bend it too much and too quickly, because there's a chance that you'll wreck it. There is some other bone folders that are more for this that I probably should get one. After all, I do know where I can do that. So this little piece is gonna probably bother me, and I'll erase the pencil mark eventually too. So that's your cover. So we're almost done here with the cover. So you just want to be gentle. Oh, and you can hear my Tyvek popping in there. So that does stop once the bubbles work out. Let's just see here. Yeah. And maybe there's something else that I could do to change that, which I'll look into, and then maybe do another video or an update. But anyways, this is it for now on the album. So I'm just going to go around and press down everything. So if you just want to gently and don't bend your album back. You do not want it going that way. So pretty much like that's how your album is going to look. You can set this piece aside and grab the piece that you cut for your spine, which will be 7 1/8 by 8.5. And then I'm going to get you to score at 1/2 inch intervals. So I've already done it. I just wanted to try to make this as quick as possible. I don't even know what time I'm at yet. So once you have all of your score lines done, you're going to put tape, well, you can see here, you're going to put tape on the first one, and then you're going to leave 2, and then you're going to put tape on the 4th one, and then you're going to continue along until you're done your entire spine. And then you can pause and do that and then come back if you'd like. And then to get your spine actually going here, you'll take the tape off the first one, and then what you're going to do is, I'm going to turn this around, is you're just going to fold it over, and this is what makes your first hinge. So fold it over, press it down, flip it over, and then fold it back the other way so that you have one hinge. So after you've done that a couple of times, you're going to have 3, and so on and so forth. So you're going to pull off your tape, and then it's going to go to the next one. You need to remember to keep this as your gusset. So you're going to fold it over, and then it looks all weird, and it'll mess with your head a little bit, because then you're like, I don't know what to do. So you just pull this back, and once you flatten it out, you've got another spine piece. Now at this point, you can also take your bone folder just to get your creases a little bit better, and then you're going to continue on. So I'll do another one here. So you're going to pull your tape off, and you're going to go to the next one over. And as they get smaller, they get more weird, but it's okay. So then you're going to bend that back, and then you're going to bend your hinge. So I like to go over my hinges with my bone folder both ways. And once we're done, you won't be able to see the hinges at all. So I think it's called a hidden hinge, but I'm not 100% certain. So your last one You can take that off. You can fold it from the other way if you'd like. So you can see there. And then when you're going to flip it over, you can just bend that forward. And now you have your hinges. So it really is that simple. Then what you're going to do after that is, so this is my finished one, is that you're going to put on your double-sided tape on each side of these. Do not put any tape in your gusset. So as you can see, I've got tape on both sides. Once you're done putting tape on both sides, so again, you can pause the video if you'd like and put your tape on. You're going to flip your spine over and you're going to add tape to the back side of your gusset. Okay? Then you're going to get your album again, or your album cover that you made. And you're going to bring it back. So you can take a look at it and see, you know, like if you made any mistakes or, you know, what you don't want people to see. So this is the bottom of the one that I wasn't super fond of, or that I made the little boo-boo. And I'm okay with that, like I said. And you're going to attach your hinge into your album. So it's going to look like this. So you want to make sure that you have it spaced out properly. And then the other thing is we have not made our pages yet, but when we do, you're going to attach your pages, but you want to make sure that if you're going to eventually add any tabs on the top, that you might want to put your spine or your hinges, sorry, like a little bit lower so that you have room at the top of your book. I'm not putting anything on the top or the bottom, so I'm just going to have it centered, and then I'm going to also have it centered on each side. The other thing that you need to make sure of with your hinge before you put it down is that the top here and the bottom down here are the same width. Now sometimes when you're scoring and folding, they end up not being the same at the top and the bottom. I've checked mine many times, and so mine is 2 and just over 5/8 on the top and on the bottom. Now if it wasn't, I would just recommend you pulling it apart a little bit until the top and the bottom is the same, because you want your book to lay flat and look symmetrical. So mine worked out this time. It didn't work out exactly the last time, and that's okay. And so what you're going to do is you're going to take off the back 5 pieces of sewing. Make sure you don't accidentally take off your first hinge tape. So we're going to just take off the first, or sorry, the 5. And you can use any kind of double-sided tape. The sewing tape is just a really good brand, and it's got a great adhesive factor, so that's my preference. Another album that I made, I did use the Express It tape as well, and it seems to be good so far as well. So now you're going to take it, and again, like with lighting and everything, you know, you're not really certain all the time of how things are, but you can eyeball it, or you can measure if you want. I'm typically fairly good at eyeballing, and again, like, I'm okay with that. So now I've put it down, and I'm going to just gently run my fingers through here, and then I will press it down. So now I've got my album cover and my spines done. So again, I just want to rub them down. You can use your bone folder if you want. And just do that both ways to loosen up the paper a little bit. And now we're going to work on our page inserts. So you can set aside your album cover, and you can grab the paper that you cut for your page pockets. So I've already done a few of them, or a couple of them, just for ease purposes. So we're going to make 6. So on my instructions, I said cut 3 sheets to 5.5 by 8.5. And so that would be for a total of 6 pages. I'm just going to add that in here so I don't forget to put that in. So you're going to have, as you can see on your paper, you're going to have longer sheets and you're going to have smaller sheets, a little bit smaller. So when you cut your paper, you're going to see that these smaller pieces are going to fit in here. So again, you're going to cut 3 sheets of paper to 5.5 by 8.5. So that'll give you 2 pieces per sheet. You're going to score at 5/8 on each of the ends. And then we're going to add the 7, we're going to add the 9.5 mil. I think this is 9.5. Oh, that's 12. Let's just see here. Yeah, so we'll add 12 inch, or 12, sorry, not 12 inch. That would be atrocious. 12 mil sukawang tape, and you want to put it close to your score line, but not too close. Okay, so you're going to want to do that on both ends. So whatever, you still need these to bend. And then what you're going to do is you're going to just trim off the corner. So we're just going to kind of miter it. I'm going to see if I can get up a little bit closer here. So you want to make sure that you're above your score line when you trim. So you're just going to go above your score line and you're just going to snip a little piece off. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides of each one of your pages. Okay? So when you're done that part, you're going to end up with 6 of these. I've got 2 done, so I've got 4 left. And the way that I find the easiest to put these together is to flip this over, and you're of course also going to want to fold at your score line. So the easiest way that I find is to put the smaller piece on the inside, and then you can make it fit nicely. And because we're talking about that smidge smaller, I'll tell you where that comes in a minute. So you're going to just fold that up, and you want to make sure that you are holding your paper down so that it doesn't move, so that your paper is going to be at the correct spot. So you can see that sometimes they just don't fit quite exactly, and that's why we get you to do just a smidge. Because when you do your pockets with scoring, it just changes things just a wee bit. So you can kind of see how it's not straight, but it is, because the score marks kind of mess things up a little bit. So when you're attaching your pages, I would recommend that you put all of your pages the same way. So put them all with the fold facing, like with your larger piece in the front, or with your smaller piece in the front. Don't put one like in this way and one in this way. I would suggest that you put them all in the same way. For me, I'm going to put them all in with the fold going to the back. So you can pause and finish the rest of yours if you would like. I'm going to just do it on here and we'll see where that takes us. So I'm going to just peel up my silk wing. Man, I'm telling you, these women that do these tutorials, they've got a lot of patience, and really, honestly, it's a lot of work. I'll have to find a meme about what you think you're going to look like and what you actually look like when you're doing this. Anyways, it's all good. I'm just doing this for my fellow crafters so that we all don't go stir crazy. And if you have kids, all the more blessings to you. I've got some, they're cooperating right now, so that is great. They're upstairs with their dad, so on electronics, I'm not gonna lie. But hey, if it keeps them quiet and I did that wrong, see? Probably shouldn't talk when I'm doing this either. Sheesh. Anyways, the kids are being quiet. I hear them now, so maybe I ruined it. But that's okay. If they come down, I'll make them stick their head underneath the camera and you can see what I get to deal with on a daily basis. So I have, oh, that was not very smart now, was it? So, this was not intended. Definitely was not intended. So, I have something for this. It is called Undo. Oh, have mercy. The first time that I ever used this, well, actually, the first time this was introduced to me, I nearly freaked out because Rhea poured all this stuff on my project and I thought it was ruined. I was beside myself. I did not even know what to do. I didn't know if I was going to be her friend after. Anyways, so I'm going to just let that dry. And I'm going to try to keep that in the camera just so that you can see. And I probably put way too much on it. Oh, and I guess I can't really. Well, you can see that that is one of the sides that got the undo on it. And you saw how quickly that came off. Like, this stuff is insane. It is a little bit smelly, but I mean, I just saved my project, so what the heck, right? And if you ever have to use undo, like you can see that was the other side. Your adhesive still sticks. I mean, you can make a mistake, you can pour this stuff on it and it doesn't wreck anything. So it's drying. It's taking a little bit longer to dry because I poured a lot on there. But you can see, and once my project is done, like, you will not see it at all. So if you do not have any undo, I would recommend that you get some. It has been a lifesaver, actually, or a craft saver, I guess. And Rhea and I are still friends, so hey, bonus. Alright, so this is the last one, and this is the one that I poured the stuff on, so let's see if it actually comes off. I may have to let it dry. Nope, looks like we're okay. Alright. So there we go. So now I've got all 6 of my cards, or my page pockets done. You can still see a little bit, but I promise you it'll dry. So now you can set those just to the side. I've got a lot of stuff going on here now. So I'll just try to move as much over as I can. Sorry about that wiggle, and I'll just make sure this camera is still doing okay. And it is. So you can bring back the outside of your album, and you can hopefully that's, well, I feel like now I might need to move that, but I will not do that on camera. Okay, so I will show you how to attach your pages. Do not take your Sukwang off. So you're going to just slide your page on, and it may be a little bit difficult, it may not be. It just depends. Now, if you have a pick, or if you have any of the other picks that look like dental tools, like this, you can use whatever you have to pick that off. So now, when you slide your I feel like I may have done this a little bit wrong. So you are actually going to want to put your Sukwang at the top. So I should probably amend that in my instructions. So I put it all at the bottom. I'm going to wing it and figure it out as I go. Because that's just kind of what I do. Or actually, I think it might have just been getting hung up on the back piece. So I'm going to just turn the album so I can get this. So what you're going to do is determine whether, so you're going to have a little bit of playroom in here. So I'm going to just make sure that my piece of paper is pushed all the way down to the bottom, so that my pages are all going to be flush on the top. And now I will show you guys. So you also, again, want to hold your paper down, and then you just want to be able to get in here and pick off your tape. So once you get it, and it is a little bit difficult, but it will come off. And it's a little bit harder when you're trying to tape and stuff like that too. So there's one, you just push it down, and then you can flip your page to do the other side. So I feel like this is not going as well as I planned, but again, that is okay. So then you just, then you're going to take the other piece off, and I'm going to leave that one just for now in case I do not like what is going to transpire after this. So again, you put your page on, determine whether, you can just make sure that it matches up, hold it, pick out your tape, and then continue on. And actually I think it's going to be fine. So you'll pick out your tape, press it down, and if you have any little stickies in here, you can use a embossing powder brush just to get rid of the stick. So once you've got the one side down, this is what I did not do on the last side, is I did not undo the last piece, but I think that it's going to be fine. So I will go ahead and pull out this piece here, There we go. Okay, and my pages are pretty even. And so you're going to just continue on until you have all 6 pages in your book done. Now, if you're having trouble getting one on, set it aside and try a different one. If for whatever reason you can't get it on in the end, you can just miter a little bit off so that it will slide on there. So again, they're even on the top and the bottom. Excuse my head if it's in the way. Then you're just going to pick off your tape. And some people like to decorate their pages before they put them in. I have not done that yet, so I do not know how it works. There's all different kinds of hinge systems out there that you can use or try. I just started dabbling in making albums. These are going to be for my grandson. He's turning 3, so I'm doing a newborn to 1 album, and then a 1 to 2, and then each album will start with the birthday. So the 3rd album, the first one that I showed you as my example, is going to be the first one, and I intend on adding some waterfall additions for pictures, and maybe some pouches or pockets for different things that he got while he was in the hospital. He was in the NICU for a bit. He was early, but you would never know. He's a smart little guy. So this is the one that didn't fit on earlier. It fits now. So it's just a matter of your scoring and well, it did fit until I turned it around. It's just a matter of how you're scoring and whatnot. That okay, so clearly that one still doesn't want to fit. We'll just keep on going here. Yeah, so almost done, folks. Hopefully you guys find this helpful, and my written examples or my written tutorial, I feel like took an awful lot of time, so I'm still deciding what I'm gonna do about that. Okay, I know, you're probably all thinking, well, you said to miter the corner a little bit, so why don't you just take your own advice? Right, so I'm just going to do a little snip like that, and I'll just snip it on one side, and hopefully it goes on, and if it does not, then I'll snip the other side as well. There we go. Alright, so it wasn't as bad as I just wanted to give me some trouble. That's okay. I feel like I'm handling this whole coronavirus. I was trying to not say it, but in stride. I mean, I'm doing what I can to be safe and keep my family safe, and that's all I can do. So let's get some crafting done and put our minds on something else. So this is it. It is complete. So this is what your album will look like. Like I said, I'm going to add some different things. So I won't go into, you know, cutting your paper for the cover. You have the measurements, I believe. You would just have to cut it a little bit smaller. than the front, but you can measure that and then, you know, add your pattern paper onto that. I'm gonna have this tutorial on YouTube, so hopefully you like it, and if I get enough response, I will maybe do another one, and hopefully the more I do, the better I'll get. All right, thanks a lot, ladies, for joining me. Stay safe and be healthy.